Hello there, and welcome to the second proposal for my final year project, Camp Glamp. This is the secondary proposal for if my first doesn't really make it off the ground, is too high concept, whichever. So let's get started. There we go. So Camp Glamp is a four-player multiplayer game where each player must make their camp as good as possible, as beautiful as possible, based on three requirements, which these requirements are randomly generated or can be chosen by the players before the match starts. The winner is whoever has the highest amount of points, which is calculated after a certain amount of time, and the amount of points is based on how well they have met the criteria. You can see from the gameplay flow on the left of this slide that it's quite a very repeatable sort of game. Every match should be about 20 minutes, I would say, going from start to finish. This game will stand out amongst other multiplayer party games, a genre which has become more popular on PC as it was originally just very kid oriented, so weren't on PC too much. But it's become much more popular, and this game stands out because unlike a lot of the other games where it is strictly combat focused, or combat focused like Gang Beasts, Pummel Party, or Party Animals, they all have very similar names, but those are very combat focused. While this is much more focused on planning and puzzles and crafting and using the environment around you to both strengthen your camp, strengthen your base, and mess with others. The second thing which is really going to set this game apart is the art style. A lot of these sort of party games go for a very simplistic, flat color, low poly art style, mainly to stick with the very fun, very just a simple sort of way of looking at it. But my game will have a little more detail in the actual painting of the textures, to add a little more detail, add a little more of an actual unique visual identity, and separate from this much more just flat, simplistic art style. Okay, so here I have my Moscow analysis. The main the main objectives that I want to complete by the end of this project is just to have the game sorted in its most basic form. Have two maps which your players can go around in. Have task systems, so this can be crafting, cooking, gardening, whichever, which can be used to fulfill the objectives given to you at the start of the game. The must-have is just the bare bones, while should-have is more it's less about the actual bare bones of the game itself and what would make it considerably a complete game. So having modeling and animating multiple characters that the players can choose from, having a simple hub world so the players can pick what level they want to go on, which map they want to play. All these would take it from an experience to a finished game. While could have is simply additional things which in the contingency weeks, which I will get to soon, which I could mess about with and add to make the experience feel more fun and flow better. Speaking of the contingency weeks, here is the proposed timeline for this project. We'd start in weeks 1 and 2 with the research side, both in week 1 with the genre and week 2 with how it's actually going to be created, with me looking at the PowerPoints from last year, Advanced Game Engines, and I will also be doing independent research on physics in Unreal, as a lot of these party games, to really feel good, need to have floaty and fun physics. From about week 3 is when development would start. So, we start creating the game mode. We start, actually getting the bare bones of, okay, game starts here, you do this, this, and this, game ends here. About week 5, about week 4 or 5 is when I actually start developing the systems that be used. The systems are the most important part of this project, as I would like to submit this project for system design. So how does the crafting work? How does the gardening work? And then how can players put those two together? So can players make a fishing rod, which can be used both to grab players and pull them back, but can they also use a fishing rod with, let's say, a springy mushroom to, instead of pushing players back towards them, push them forward? Just many ways that these interact, and I can test this through the machination software. From about the end of semester 1, that is when I would want the main game mode to be complete. Of course, in a bare bones, well, no, not a bare bones state. I would like it to be fairly sorted. So, not very detailed, but, fair enough that it is technically a game. While semester 2 would be actually pumping it full of content, adding polish, adding, what turns it from an experience to a game. Finishing all the modeling for the maps, the environment modeling, the white boxing, all that level design is going to be a big side of it as well. And, do the actual gameplay testing, check for bugs, all stuff like that. From about weeks 14, that is when a lot of the, that's when I expect the game to be at its most finished state, because that is when I'll be recording trailers, doing like some of the small things from the could have, and catching up on paperwork, and getting stuff sorted, ready to be submitted. And that is the end of my proposal.